Well, first and foremost, I'd like to thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
Yeah. Um, so, so,
Thanks for having me.
yeah, of course, of course. So, I was gonna ask you, so you're in wellness, right? Correct?
Yeah, yeah, wellness.
So, how did you get into bodybuilding and training in general?
Well, in general, my mom was always like a big workout freak, you know. She didn't
Hmm.
compete or nothing like that, but I grew up like watching her work out like every day, eating the same meals every day. So I guess like the seed was planted, and then I started working out later on in my life, got in a little bit of trouble and started lifting weights, and then I
Hmm.
started putting on some muscle. And I really liked the way it felt and looked, and
Hmm.
it just was on from there. I've always liked having muscle, even before competing. Like I liked having muscle. I always thought it was just, I don't know, attractive to me. Not crazy, but
Right, right.
fit looking, having some shape. So I just fell in love with it, you know.
Yeah.
So like
When
9 years.
you say your mom was like eating the same meals and working out, like was she doing it just for herself or was she like how did
Just for
like
herself.
just for herself? So she's always done it like
Just
as
for
long.
herself. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay, that's
Yep.
I see that. I mean, that's something that's important. Like you see your parents work out, it kind of motivates you sometimes to do the same thing. Like I'm sure you working out will have an impact on your kid as well.
Yeah, it does. Sometimes he's like, Mom, I want to go to the gym and work out with you. But I'm like, well, you're only 8, so you can't do it yet. But he's always asking me to work out. I think
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
cute.
for sure, for sure. Is that you only have one?
No, I have another one, but my mom, he says my mom has him. He lives with
Oh,
her. He's a little older.
gotcha,
He's 16. So they're in
gotcha.
Georgia. Yeah.
Okay, where are you located in Florida?
Yeah, Davy, next to Hollywood, next to the Hollywood Rock, the Hard Rock Casino, the big guitar, if anyone
Gotcha.
knows the area. Yeah, right
Yeah.
over there.
Yeah. So how did you so you started working out and started on putting on muscle like the way it looked. How did it progress from just working out to like actually stepping on stage?
I actually used to work at LA Fitness. And
Mm,
my manager would say you can compete, and I was never like whatever. And this cop named Brian Hernandez used to come to the gym. He would patrol the gym, and he was a coach. And I guess when he saw me, he was like, "Oh my God, you have so much potential. I
hmm.
could turn you pro." And I remember I used to look at magazines back in the day, like Oxygen magazines, and I would see pro. This is before wellness was even like heard of out here.
Yeah.
And I always thought like it'd be cool to be a pro bodybuilder, but never put like too much emphasis on it. And then this guy Brian Hernandez just saw me, and he like really believed that I could turn pro. And his belief in me made me believe that okay, maybe I can do this.
Yeah.
And I think at the time I needed something to latch onto. My life was kind of a mess. I was drinking a lot and just doing other things to like, just numb my brain out, and unhealthy things. And it gave me something positive to do, and it gave me like an identity, I guess you can say. Like I was
Yeah.
finally like proud of myself. My mom was proud of me, so I just latched onto it. And I did my first competition not thinking anything of it, and I ended up winning. So I was just like, oh my God. And from there, I was like, yes, I'm going to turn pro. But it was really Brian Hernandez. His belief in me is what made me think I could do it.
Yeah. So he must have like really impacted you because he must have had been pretty motivated when he saw you because the
He,
fact that
he
how you're
did.
talking about him, you know.
He did. He really helped in a time of my life. I was just not doing so well. And
Mhm.
so I guess I needed that someone else to like see the good in me, the potential in me,
Yeah.
versus people that known me for like my partying ways or just the craziness. It was I don't know, it felt relieving and just gave me something. It gave me something to be proud of. And
Hmm.
he was always, careful about like my mental state. It wasn't just, oh, eat this and train this. Like he cared about what was going on in here, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And that really helped a lot too.
That's, sometimes I think about the fact that like you'll have coaches out here and they really just want to make a name for themselves off of their athletes, and they're just gonna run you ragged until, you're pretty much done with and then move on to somebody else. They don't really care
Yeah.
about how you feel, you know, how you feel inside, how, you know, your health and all that stuff. And it's important to have a coach that, you know, that cares about you as a whole person, not just
Yeah,
the
your
way you
mental
look.
state is huge. Like you got to be good up here. You have to. Like, if you're stressing out or stuff like that, like your body's never gonna reach its peak. You know, the cortisol levels are gonna go up, and it's just not gonna go well. You got to be mentally like ready for it. Be in
Hmm.
the right place in your mind to do this sport. Because if not, it can screw you up too.
When did you win your first show? What year was that?
I believe it was 2021, did the
That what?
Diamond Classic.
So it wasn't that long ago.
2021. No, and it wasn't. I turned pro pretty quickly.
Hmm.
I did like 4 shows and I got my pro card. So,
That's
which was,
pretty,
I
that's
thought it
pretty
was cool. Yeah.
amazing. Yeah, that's pretty
Yeah.
amazing. You don't hear about that happening to some people like take their whole lives to
I know.
you know, I just talked to a girl who was you know, she's in her 50s and you know that she got her pro card and masters. So it's like it sometimes it takes people so long and to do it in 4 shows is pretty amazing.
Yeah. Thanks. It was hard, but I did it. Yeah.
It's so do you so like around your area, do people generally like compete or train or you're kind of you know different
No, yeah,
there?
South Florida, there's a lot. And, you got Miami not too far. You got Fort Lauderdale. So there's definitely a lot of other competitors, especially more down south in Miami area.
Yeah.
There's quite a few. Like my trainer, Amanda Rosende, she's also a competitor.
Hmm.
She's Brazilian wellness as well. And I've trained with her for years and she also competes. The show that I won, the first show was the same first show the year before or
Hmm.
prior that she did and she won. So it's cool that we had that like in common.
Yeah,
We have
yeah.
pictures like her win and my win. It's pretty
That's
cool.
pretty cool. So like out and about, like in town and stuff, or like with when you deal with like you know parents that are maybe like you know your kids obviously in school, maybe you're dealing with other
Yeah.
parents. Do people like look at you kind of weird that you're so muscular, or is it doesn't really show up in real life like that?
Yeah, sometimes I get asked, are you a competitor? Which I love. I'm like, you can tell. I'm like, yes, I am. But yeah, every now and then I'll get someone that kind of looks at me funny, but I feel like they're just insecure or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
Well, it's better. It's better
like
than
people will be people. But I either get complimented or people just stare.
yeah. It's better than like somebody saying, "Oh,
What do you
do
say?
you?"
But it kind of broke up a little bit.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. As I said, it's better than people like wondering if you work out, you know, better they believe that you do
yeah. That's
work.
why I like you. And they ask me, I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
I'm a bodybuilder. That's right. You see it. So
That's funny. I saw like a video of you with I think you have it on your page too with Kenny KO, like where he
oh
interviewed
yeah,
you. Like
yeah.
were
At
you
the
ex
Olympia, but my butt.
yeah, were you expecting like
No, I
to
was not
cross
expecting him to ask me that question. I get asked it all the time. All the time, I get asked about my butt. It's kind of comical.
so is it
I've
just
had
like
people ask me if they
a
could like
genetic
touch it. I'm
thing?
like, what? Yeah, Brazilian and Portuguese, so I definitely have genetics. But then training too.
Hmm.
With wellness, you train glutes like
Wow.
galore. It's legs
Yeah.
and glutes. It's all you train. It's legs and glutes. So I definitely um made it better over the years of working out. It definitely
Hmm.
was earned. It's always been genetically like up and around, but it
Hmm.
definitely got better with
Yeah.
training and growing the muscle.
Did what do you think about wellness as far as like its progression? Do you feel it's going the right direction? Do you feel like they should make any adjustments in the way who they're rewarding and so forth? I know this some you know some people think that maybe girls are getting too big, others just think that it's just fine. So like do you have an opinion on that?
Um, Sometimes I wish they would just be consistent.
Hmm.
Like sometimes some shows they go with the harder look, sometimes they go with a softer look, and it can be really confusing when you're trying to compete. Say you go softer, then you go to a show softer, and then someone that's harder wins. So if they would stick to the actual like, criteria and keep it the same way across
Yeah.
the board, it would definitely help the competitors out a lot. And then I do believe there's politics behind it. I most certainly do.
Hmm.
I've seen people win that I'm like, how did you win? Because the other girl looked way better than you, but that's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
So I definitely know there is politics behind the scenes, and that's I'm just gonna be it's aggravating. You know, you
Yeah.
train hard, you work hard, and then because someone knows so and so, they get rewarded. So I don't agree with that part, but I guess that's life.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
sport.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that it has to. Sorry, I'm adjusting my mic a little bit. It's
Okay.
unfortunate that it has to be like that because it's like people work so hard, to get
Hmm.
where they're at, and then just because, like you said, the politics or maybe inconsistent judging, it really can ruin your whole moment because you spent, weeks, months, training and putting in the work and it's expensive to compete, and then
Yeah.
and then you just come out with nothing, not because you're worse, but because somebody decided that, that's the way it's going to go. So, yeah, I can't,
Yeah.
it's very frustrating for
Yeah.
sure.
And anyone says there's no politics involved, they're full of it.
You're
'Cause
you're break
yes, there is.
you're bre-
100%.
can you repeat that a little bit? You're breaking up. You're breaking up.
Oh, yeah. I said if anyone says that, yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah. Good.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I said if anyone says that there's politics not involved, like they're full of crap. Like
Yeah.
100%, it's involved in the sport.
Well, sometimes you do hear about it. Like you hear like, oh, well, there's no politics. They just judge what's up there. And, I mean, maybe if you're talking about like the very, very top five or two, but even then, I think there's some politics involved because, I mean, I don't know what your opinion is, but like when I saw like Fran and Issa, like both of them look incredible, but I didn't really see why Fran lost. And some people really, I mean, I guess you can get really nitpicky with it, but
Yeah.
if you were awarded her last few years, I didn't see any like real changes in her physique for the worse. So I don't know. Like, what did you think about that whole thing? And yeah, you might be feel differently than me.
Well, first, I really like Issa.
Yeah.
I've met Issa in person a few times.
Hmm.
She actually was my posing coach a couple times,
Okay.
so I really like Issa. I do. But I feel like that day, I mean, if you want to go like on the conditioning, she was a little bit more conditioned than
Yeah.
Fran was. It was very slight though, because it was a really close call,
Yeah. It was
and
close.
they
Yeah.
might have wanted to just toss it up, like a soap opera, like, oh, she's gonna win. So the next year, if Fran competes again, the hype will be like, oh, the battle,
Yeah.
the rematch. So it makes ticket sales go up. So they could have all their little reasons why they did that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like they know what they're doing. You
Right,
know?
right. Yeah, absolutely. With the men too. Like I was thinking, there was a reason why like certain people win at the Arnold and then they come back and they lose the Olympian and they win at this here,
Hmm.
to build up that
Yep.
that drama.
Yep. Yes, it's like a soap opera. It
Yeah.
is.
And but I think you do have to be like they're not. You have to be close. Like
Yeah, of course.
If Issa or Fran weren't close, I don't think they would have done it. But because they were close enough where people can argue about it, it's like they did that. So
Yeah.
for
I
sure.
definitely believe Issa definitely I think she improved. If you watch her
Hmm.
progression, especially in her glutes, like she definitely made improvements. I think both of them looked great, and I liked seeing Issa win because I know she's been really gunning for it. She's been
Hmm.
competing for a long time. She's one of the girls that took a long time to get a pro card. So she's really been doing this for a while, and she like started from the bottom, 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 and she like climbed her way up slowly. So it was cool seeing her. I liked seeing her win. Just that she
Yeah.
finally achieved what she was just trying to aspire to do for so long. And so not everyone will get that chance or opportunity to do that.
Sure.
People compete their whole lives and never ever win the Olympia. So I thought it was I didn't mind her winning. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I definitely didn't mind it. That's for sure. I was just curious on what they exactly were looking at. But like you said, a little bit of
Who
better
knows what they're looking
conditioning.
at?
Yeah. What, like, what,
Yeah.
what kind of feedback do you get, from your shows? I mean, Like let's say let's pick the
Um,
show that where you won your, pro card. Like what did they give you? What kind of feedback did they give you?
the pro card, I didn't really get feedback. I didn't even ask for it because I got a pro card. I was like, yeah.
Like
So I didn't
whatever.
even go to the judges. I was like, whoa. But I used to get a lot of I was too hard, too
Hmm.
conditioned, and too hard. That was my number one feedback. And I was like, what do you mean I'm too hard? But that was the number one. And then I got one feedback was to grow my legs up because my glutes didn't match my legs. My legs needed to be brought up bigger. And I had one feedback where they said my lats were too flat, like my back lats. And
Mm.
I'm like, okay.
What
So they
is that?
said to bring up my lats so I have
Yeah.
more of a V taper, like, which
Hmm.
whatever. I was like, okay. I thought we were getting judged not on our back, but whatever. That's what they say. So I worked on it.
Hmm.
Um, my last two shows, I didn't even bother to get feedback. My last two shows were embarrassing. I got like last place back to back. I switched coaches
Hmm.
and it did not go well. So I didn't even bother to get the feedback. Um, I was honestly humiliating to get last place back to back. You know, but
What do you think the problem was? Like, do you think
I was
it was?
married to my coach.
Mm,
That's what the problem was. The fighting, the arguing, the stress levels would be crazy. Also, my trainer on top of that.
yeah.
So, husband, trainer, coach, all wrapped into one. I don't think anybody should be all those roles at the same time. There needs to be a difference. They need to be separate because they clash into each other. So, if I'm fighting with my husband, I mean, I'm fighting with my coach and my trainer as well. I'm not saying he's a bad coach. I'm not saying that at all. But I just think that him being my husband and all those roles wrapped together just really wasn't a smart idea. It
Yeah,
wasn't. Too
it's
much cortisol, too
it,
much.
it's tough because it's like even with my wife and she doesn't compete or anything, but like it becomes difficult because it's like you're too connected in other ways that like you really need to
Hmm.
kind of keep that separate. It's because some like in my case, like sometimes you need to be tougher on somebody and you don't feel like it, or maybe you're too tough when you don't need to be, and because of other aspects of your relationship, and so yeah, I can imagine like all that into one person, it starts spilling over, what is a personal
Yeah, it
relationship,
did.
you know.
Like I think if he would just been my coach and trainer, I definitely would have placed higher.
Hmm.
I should have, but yeah, you should have, could have, would have. Um, moving forward, I would never blend those roles together. I would definitely keep my coach separate than the person I'm intimate and romantically involved with.
What's the like what was the issue with the look? I know you said like the reason for the look, but like what did you?
I think I was too soft because people told me like I was always known for my conditioning.
Mm,
I get told I was too hard. So everybody knew I was gonna come in there like shredded, and even like Johnny Styles even said that like, it wasn't the look. Even my Amanda trainer on my trainer Amanda, even she was like when I saw you walking on stage, it was like, whoa, like that's not the Sheila we know. Like
mm,
you just look too soft. So I think they were all expecting to see the shredded version of me, which they were used to, and it wasn't. I was just too soft. And
yeah,
I knew it. I didn't even bother to get feedback. I knew it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean,
It
it's like
sucked, but it sucked.
did you consider like when did you realize that you're not gonna be what you usually are, like before the show or when you kind of stepped on stage?
I would say when I stepped on stage, it was definitely a shocker because I didn't think I was gonna. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't think I was gonna win the first show coming back,
Hmm.
but I definitely thought I would get top five or
Hmm.
something close to that.
Right.
Like I got like last place. I was just like, what? Like I was floored. The New York Pro was 15 girls. I got 13th. That's last place.
Yeah. Yeah.
13th out of 15. Come on. Then the next show, there was only 5 girls, and I got fifth place. That's last place.
Yeah.
5 out of 5. Like that. That I
Right.
got a medal, but just for showing up because there's only
Right.
5 girls. So it doesn't even count. The medal doesn't even count. You know. So
Yeah. Yeah.
but
This
yeah,
So, with that moving forward, what's your plan? Are you planning to do a show? Are you like in the off season now,
I
just
don't know.
growing?
Yeah, I don't really know. I honestly don't know how I feel about getting back on gear.
Hmm.
And unfortunately, you have to take it in order to compete in a pro level. If you want to compete and like, do decent, you have to get on gear. You ain't competing against nobody all natural. I don't care what anybody says. It ain't
Yeah.
happening. Unless you're some like God-given freakazoid, you know?
Hmm. Yeah.
But it comes with side effects that you can never get rid of. And there's girls I see that they have severe facial changes. And it's
Yeah.
like, you know what I'm saying? And I don't know if it's worth it to me to have to deal with the possible getting more side effects. I already have to deal with some now that will never go away.
Hmm.
The facial hair, the downstairs, like all this shit that happens to women that's irreversible. So I think about that. I'm going to be 40 this year too. Like, what's
Well,
competing for
we're
like
the
what?
same age. Yeah, we're the
Yeah.
same age. Yeah.
So I think like what would be the point for another trophy and then what? Then stop. So I'm going to do all this just to get a trophy. Like, I don't know. I just, to me, it doesn't seem, I don't know. And then I recently like gave my life to Jesus. Like, I really did. I surrendered my life to God, which is really hard. It's a battle. It is a freaking battle. And so I just feel like God's pushing me in a different direction. I'm not sure where that direction is going. I don't
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
but I just feel this pull
So
somewhere else.
you're considering like stopping is what you're essentially saying.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. I'm gonna
Um,
still bodybuild though. I'll never stop bodybuilding. I'll always have muscle. I'll always try to have my legs on point, my body on point. But I'll be doing it for me.
right.
Looking the way I want to look. Not being so strict in my diet. Just
Yeah.
enjoying my life more the way I want. Because competing too, you're always judging yourself. You're always comparing yourself. And it's crazy. In the moment, it doesn't matter how shredded you are. In the moment, you think you look like shit. In the moment, you like, I don't like the way I look. It's these mind fuckeries. Sorry for the cursing.
No, you're
And
good.
it's like, I got sick and tired of, you never feel good enough. I got that for me anyway. I was always comparing myself. Now, when I see pictures now of how I used to look, I'm like, damn, I looked great. I looked freaking awesome. But in the moment, I didn't see it.
Yeah.
I never saw it, and it's just like, because you're comparing yourself, you're competing, you know.
Right.
So
Yeah.
now I can look at myself, and I don't have that worry or like I don't care if this girl has bigger quads than me. I don't care if she's more shredded than me.
Yeah.
I don't care, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, from the mental aspect, that's a good thing, it's a good thing to be able to be, comfortable, like not have to stress yourself out over these types of things.
Yeah.
I was gonna touch back on the gear portion of it.
Okay.
So what's like if you don't mind, what would be your
Sure.
typical cycle for a show?
Well, it switched up, so I would do Primo. Primo was my favorite. I loved Primo. It was like 1 cc, but like I would split it in
Hmm.
half. Like Monday and Thursday, I would inject them in my quads. I did Masteron a little bit of Winnie, but Primo was definitely the one that I ran the most. Anavar and Clenbuterol, those
Hmm.
three were the number one things I would take. I tried a little bit of EQ for a while. Like I would mix Boldenon and then Primo, and then once you
Hmm.
got closer to the show, I would cut out the bold and just run Primo by itself and Anavar, and then after I would cut the Primo eventually, and then run Anavar, and then cut that, and then just I'll be on Clen. But that was really it. Like I wouldn't go. My coach was really big on not giving me too much because of the side effects. He's like, I'm not
Yeah.
trying to have you turn into a man. So Bryant was really, chill with not loading me up on gear. Like
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
coaches will load chicks up, like all, even Trent, like all kind of shit. So
Yeah.
he was really good with that. Same thing with same thing with Cash. He wasn't the same way. He didn't want me, he
Hmm.
kept it low too. He didn't, load me up either. So
What
which I
what's your
appreciated because if they would have told me to take a lot, I probably would have.
what's your Anavar like milligrams look like when you were
10,
oh just 10.
just
Okay.
10 milligrams.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
And
wasn't crazy.
So yeah, see, that's the thing. It's like you probably are better off than a lot of girls because like you said, coaches will load them up just to get that look, so then they can say, "Oh, I made that look, for
Yeah.
this girl," and then kind of off of her jump off to other like clients and stuff like that. And that's generally how it goes,
Yeah, and now
unfortunately.
she's stuck with the side effects.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's tough. It's tough,
And
and
now
and
she's all jacked up, you know?
yeah. So there's this idea of certain divisions not taking as much gear as other divisions in wellness. And how, like, I talked to a bikini girl about like similar stuff, and she was like, "Oh yeah, they like we run like we're legit cycles even in bikini." And so like in wellness, like how do you
Oh yeah, wellness. Oh hell yes.
they run like legit cycles there too? Oh, you're breaking up a little bit.
Dude, some girls run a lot. Like, in honestly, I feel like you can tell the ones that do.
Can you,
Can you hear me?
yeah,
Am
can
I
you repeat?
breaking up?
Yeah, you're better now. Can you repeat what you were saying?
Okay. Yeah, no, I know a lot of girls definitely do run a lot. They
Hmm.
do. And I feel like the ones that run a lot, you can kind of see it, like in their
Hmm.
face, like their chin starts elongating, like the jaw widens, like you can tell like they're running some heavy duty cycles. You can see it,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah, and so like if some of them look more feminine than others, is that because they're running
Yeah.
less, or you think it's just like makeup and just you know,
It could be it could be good genetics too, you know,
yeah.
because some girls don't get some of the side effects. Some girls are lucky and they won't get,
Hmm.
you know, some will have a worse side effect than the other. It all depends on how your body takes it. You know, like some girls I know, which is rare, that run it downstairs, it's normal, which is like, really, you're fucking blessed by God, you know. So some
Hmm.
like get the facial changes, some well, their voice will really deepen, you know.
Hmm.
So I think it all depends. But I definitely do feel like the amount of gear also has a big effect on that. Like I know some girls are running a lot and it's not even their fault. It's their coach. Their coach is
Yeah.
telling them to do it and they're gonna obey their coach. Whatever their coach says, they're gonna do it, you know?
Yeah, because I've heard of girls. Initially, when I started this podcast, I had a girl on, and she was talking about who she was running trend, and she was running like serious trend, and I'm like,
That's crazy.
that is crazy.
Like,
That
why?
there's no way you're gonna be normal after that. There just
No
isn't.
way. I heard trend's like the worst one. Guys go crazy on trend.
Yeah,
Like it totally fucks with their head. So I can only imagine a woman. Like I was always like, I'm never taking trend. Like I'm scared of that one because I've
yeah.
heard all these horror stories about how it jacks people's heads up, and I don't want to feel that. Plus, like how big do I have to get? Like I just didn't see the need to do all that. But then again, I also have good genetics when it comes to building muscle. I do. Thank God for my mom. Like I have good genes, so I didn't
Hmm.
need to take it.
Yeah, yeah. And some
So
girls are push the envelope because they have to because they can't get big enough.
yeah, and it sucks. You know,
Yeah,
I feel bad for them, but if they want it that bad, they're gonna do what it takes to get it.
yeah. And I guess there's no way to mitigate any of those effects, right? You can't like really slow it
No,
down. Yeah.
just gotta wing it, see what happens. You know, that's all you can do. You don't know. You know, just
Yeah, it's
hope for the
the
best.
roll of the dice, huh? Yeah, that's
Yeah, it really is.
mm. So yeah, so and there's no potential of like lowering like dosages and stuff like that and still getting like I imagine like if you're running a lot and then you go lower, you're probably not gonna get the same look.
I think if you went for the long run and not try to get there so quickly, I think you can go lower. It'll take more time, but I
Hmm.
definitely think it's doable, but you'd have to know it's going to take a little bit longer. If you want to get there quickly, then yeah, you're going to have to load up. You're going to have to run it. So it all depends. Does that person, like, you have patience? Like, if you want to do it the right way, like, take your time. Because
Hmm.
ultimately, the food is the most important part. Like, you can't deny that part. You can
Yeah.
take all the gear in the world, but if you're not eating right, you're not going to really get there, you know?
Yeah.
So if you take the long haul. Don't be in such a rush. Make sure your diet is on point. You won't have to run as much unless you
Mhm.
just have the shittiest genetics ever.
Right.
But even then, I think you need to take the time to build it,
Yeah.
without having to rely on taking so much gear.
Yeah. Well, if you have genetics that bad, I almost wonder if like you need to
You
really
probably shouldn't do the sport.
reconsider. Yeah. Like if you like if I'm 4'5", like basketball is probably out of my reach, So it's like
Yeah,
it's just sometimes you just have to make the decision on like what, like what you want to do in your life. And that's if it's out of your reach, maybe it's not the best thing to push, all the gear and stuff. And I mean, and we're talking about side effects you can see. I mean, what other side effects are there that you can't see, like on your heart, on your organs, all that other stuff.
yeah, exactly. I don't even know. I haven't ever gotten like checked up inside, so who knows what internal damage it's caused. I mean, I feel fine, but
Yeah, yeah.
like you never know.
Right. And I wasn't necessarily talking about you, but I was just saying, like, we were talking about girls that run trend. It's like, I mean, imagine what it's
Oh
doing
yeah,
inside, inside their bodies. It's
well,
vicious,
people die off this. They do. People
Yeah.
die.
Yeah.
Since I've been
Lately, it's been
competing,
a
it's been
lot.
quite. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. People die off this.
Hmm.
You know the damn, I forgot the diuretics too. They take
Hmm.
diuretics, die. Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's not a healthy sport. It's not.
Right. Right.
Competing hardcore is not healthy.
Yeah, I think that's what like kind of confuses some people that don't compete. They think that it's like healthy because you're working out but not at that level. Like at that level, it's intense.
Yeah, it's really intense. You gotta think of how hard you're training and all the cardio you have to do. That drops your immune system too. You're putting your body through
Mhm.
that much stress. Then you're loading it with gear. So it's just really, and then to get stage ready, you have to deplete your body, like completely shock it, like to get that look. It's a lot on your body. It's a lot.
Yeah. What like when you were getting to those hard looks, what how much cardio were you doing at that point?
Oh, with Bry, it would go up to 2 hours a day, an hour in the morning and an
Really?
hour at night.
That's a lot of
Yeah.
cardio. That's a lot of cardio. I
Yeah, it
mean, an
wasn't like that the
hour.
whole way through. Yeah, but dude, getting like to the nitty gritty, like closer, it would bump it up to an hour. But it'd be like 30 minutes, like one time a day, an hour, and then twice a day, like 30, twice a day, 45, and then would increase to the top of the top was an hour in the morning and an hour at night, and then plus training.
Like,
So
were you doing stairs mainly, or is?
yeah, stairs, and I had a Peloton bike in my apartment.
Hmm.
So but I used to love it. I used to feel like powerful because I know most people can't do that. So
Hmm.
like it did give me an identity. It did for a while, and that kind of jacked my head up too. Because once I wasn't competing, once I did compete again and got last place, like I didn't know how to feel about myself. Like I was confused.
Yeah.
Like I got depressed. I really did go into a depression. Like I didn't know what to do, and like it jacked my head up for a while. It did.
When was the last time you stepped on stage? When was that?
It was OCC, the Louisiana show in 2023, I believe. Or
Okay.
24. Yeah, with Cash. That was the
So,
last one I did. After that one, I was like,
so
I
like a
just,
little over a year or so. That's
yeah, I
yeah.
got really depressed after that one, and just other things in our personal lives wasn't going so well. Then I left and came back to Florida. So, that I'm still going through that right now.
Yeah.
Still,
Yeah.
it's hard, So my mind's not in the right place to even compete if I wanted to
Yeah.
right now. Like I'm still trying to, going through separations. It's not easy. It's not easy at all.
Yeah. I mean, I can't even imagine. It's got to be like very frustrating. Probably lose a lot of sleep over that.
I did. It's better now, but in the first few months, I wasn't eating. I wasn't eating food. I was drinking those Core Power milk protein shakes you get at the gas station. I was literally living off those. I wasn't. I lost so much weight. Wasn't eating. Wasn't sleeping. Like it was. I even like started drinking again, like going kind of backwards.
Hmm.
It wasn't good. That's when like I had this epiphany. Like, let me try to live for God because
Hmm.
Whenever I try to do it on my own, it don't really go so well. And I'm putting all this trying to find love and fulfillment in other things like people, the sport, and all those things are fleeting. Everyone's gonna disappoint you. Everyone's gonna let you down. And I'm like, maybe I'm looking for love in the wrong places. So I started looking above and,
Hmm.
you know, getting it from
Yeah.
where it comes from, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I do. I completely understand where you're coming from. Um, just to backpedal a little bit. So if you're not competing, do you feel like you have a spot in this industry? Because there's a lot of people that don't compete that are still within the industry. Do you feel like you might like
Yeah.
coach or do something else? Is there anything that kind of like maybe I know right now that you've got other things on your mind, but
I could see myself training people,
mhm, is that's
like
kind of like
training. I
where
don't
you're
know about
thinking?
coaching for competition. Yeah, but I could definitely see myself training girls and training people, you know, helping them with their diet. But I wouldn't want to like prep anybody.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want that responsibility. And, because God forbid, I don't really know what I'm doing and they don't win and their head's going to be all jacked up and I'm responsible. Like, I wouldn't want to prep anybody, but I would
Yeah.
definitely train people and help with their diet. I could definitely do competitive coaching
Yeah.
department.
Well,
I'm gonna leave that alone.
well, I mean,
you know?
yeah, I mean, you're definitely qualified, in the sense that you've done it yourself. You've gotten in shape. You know how to eat. So I mean, you're a pro for a reason. So, I mean, it's definitely, stuff you can definitely do
Yeah.
with that. Um, I mean, a lot of people are just doing like content, creating, kind of living off of that. So that's always an option, I guess.
Yeah, I thought about doing that. I was talking about making content. Just gotta you have to be consistent with that.
Right,
Sometimes I get a
right,
little
right.
lazy, procrastinate. But I thought about that and making more content.
Yeah, because I mean, you've got like a
That's like
really.
a part. That's like a full-time job.
So I tell you what, it sure is because I was talking to a guy about like creating content, and he was he was telling me like how just full time it truly is. Like people don't understand. Like you really have to like that is your job. Like essentially, that becomes your job. You just do that all day long.
Yeah, I was doing it, but I realized how much work it was.
Yeah, yeah.
What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah, yeah, I agree with you. It is a lot of work for sure. Just in like even podcasts like this, like editing and stuff like that. Like I wish I could put out more, but it's like I have to kind of take time to, do the back work of it. It's like there's no way I can just constantly crank out like stuff. So it gets
Yeah, I had to
rough.
pay
Yeah.
someone to do that part for me. I
Right,
had to
right.
pay someone to like edit my videos because I worked at a full-time job, so there was no way I could do it all. So I had to literally pay someone to
Yeah,
like edit my stuff and like
yeah.
post it for me.
Yeah, 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 for sure, for sure. Well, I mean, we did a good, 45 minutes or so, maybe a little more.
Okay.
I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much, Sheila.
Yeah, no problem. This was fun.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll have to have you back on when you get some more free time.
Yeah, no problem. We could
Uh,
talk about whatever.
All right. If somebody wanted to reach out to you, just for more podcasts or anything else, regarding this, do you have a like best way that they can reach out to you?
Just DM me because my emails are crazy. Like I just honestly just DM. I see those. I'm on Instagram a lot. Probably
Mhm.
probably a little too much. I'm on Instagram. So definitely DMing me would be the best way. I'm gonna see it quicker and it's direct to me, direct message me and then we just take it from there.
Awesome. And guys, I'm gonna link Sheila's Instagram here at the bottom of the video, so it'd be easy for you to reach to her. All righty. Well, thanks again. I
All
appreciate it.
right.
Take care.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
All right,
Bye-bye.
bye.